When Jesus departed earth's soil, he made sure that a particular message was imparted to his disciples of all time, that he has been given all authority.
Have you ever wondered why the issue of authority was important enough for Jesus to make a point of it? Then Jesus came to them and said, "All authority in heaven and on earth has been given to me." Matthew chapter 28, verse 18.
Understanding authority and its God-given role in our lives is indispensable for a follower of Jesus.
What is authority? We're all familiar with the word, but do you know what authority means, particularly in regard to headship within your home?
Biblical authority in the home can be defined as the privilege and responsibility to include those people or things that contribute to peace and harmony in your home, or to exclude those people or things that rob your home of peace and harmony.
Authority is also the privilege and responsibility to commend those actions and attitudes that contribute to the peace and harmony of your home, or to correct those actions and attitudes that rob the peace and harmony of your home.
A person in authority is like a gatekeeper. He includes and commends those people and things that support his responsibilities to God, and excludes or corrects those that don't.
If you want your home to be filled with shalom, that is, the well-being and peace of your family, then the authority person must confront and eliminate anything that would disrupt that peace.
The reality of biblical authority is a crucial matter for followers of Jesus today in this atomistic culture. Too many family members are giving in to their sin nature and looking out only for their own interests.
This is causing a lot of tension where shalom should exist. Husbands and fathers are failing to properly exercise their biblical authority.
Let's take a look at what God has to say about our submission to those in authority first in our home.
Wives, submit to your husbands, as is fitting in the Lord. Colossians chapter 3, verse 18. Children, obey your parents in the Lord, for this is right. Honor your father and mother, which is the first commandment with a promise, that it may go well with you, and that you may enjoy long life on the earth. Ephesians chapter 6, verses 1 through 3.
Properly exercising biblical authority and willingly submitting to it is essential for peace in your home.
What is our responsibility to those in authority beyond our own household? Let every person be in subjection to the governing authorities, for there is no authority except from God, and those which exist are established by God. Therefore, he who resists authority has opposed the ordinance of God, and they who have opposed will receive condemnation upon themselves. Romans chapter 13, verses 1 and 2.
We've encountered countless people who call themselves Christian, but live in personal chaos because they've rebelled against the authorities God has set in place.
In this self-serving atomistic culture, respect for authority is at an all-time low, and many Christians have bought into this stubborn resistance.
Sadly, studies have shown that this culture has more influence on Christians than the Bible does.
We want to review one vital element that may be influencing your own home.
The current atomistic mindset is closely interwoven with the practice of democracy. Even the founding fathers understood clearly from the Bible that when a country is rebellious, it has many rulers. Proverbs chapter 28, verse 2.
The more democratic this nation becomes, the sooner it brings about its own demise. Many today, including a large number of Christians, have lost sight that our God's form of government is a republic, not a democracy.
Our founding fathers established a republic that has disintegrated into a popularity contest called a democracy. Biblical republics are led by zacans, that is, elders, The most qualified older men of wisdom and experience have the interest of all the people at heart. This is the trustee family. Democracies, on the other hand, are led by those who promise to fulfill each voter's own special interest. This ultimately spawns the atomistic culture.
Sadly, many Christian homes have become democratic. The selfish chaos is the consequence of resisting God's ways. Husbands and fathers are refusing to exercise godly authority as servant leaders. Rather than role modeling the love and harmony of God's order, their homes erupt with the strife and turmoil of selfish insolence.
We realize that in this individualist culture, the word authority conjures up all sorts of negative images.
While abuse of authority must be confronted, that's not cause to do away with authority, as many lawless Nicolaitan religious teachers advocate.
Please anchor this truth. Authority is our Father's means to maintain peace among His children, to effect Christ-like changes in their lives, and to instill loving obedience to Him in succeeding generations.
We need to clarify that biblical authority is not authoritarianism. Authoritarianism uses power and position to control and conform people to meet someone else's agenda.
Authoritarianism serves the interests of the few who dominate the many. It never produces responsible spiritual growth in anyone. Biblical authority is based on servant love, not personal power.
God's design for authority is to confront the selfish and self-centered focus of our human sin nature. Through instruction, role modeling, and correction, biblical authority helps you live for purposes beyond your own narrow desires.
4 types of authority call for personal submission. 1. Spiritual authority of husbands and biblical elders. 2. Parental authority. 3. Government authority. 4. Employer authority.
If you have trouble in any of these areas, you'll have trouble with God.
Don't be ignorant of God's requirements regarding authority. His perspective on the issue applies both to those to whom He has given authority and to those who are called to submit.
If you follow Jesus, deference to authority and trust in God are inseparable. In a later lesson, we'll discuss the crucial importance of deference.
Authorities are often God's chisel in our character development to remove self-will and to develop Christ-like humility.
As history, as well as your own life reveals, rebellion surfaces mostly in response to authority figures. Rebellion against authority can have far-reaching consequences. Remember, you reap what you sow.
We'd like to share an observation from our years at the retreat center. Fathers would occasionally bring up difficulties they were having with their rebellious children. We asked a number of these fathers if they've slandered or gossiped about their boss or employer, especially in front of their kids. Many confessed that they had maligned these authority figures. We explained that bad-mouthing was rebellious and insubordinate against the person God had placed over them. As a result, these men were reaping the consequences of their spirit of rebellion in their own homes. When the men who had slandered asked forgiveness from their boss for their attitudes and actions, much of the rebellion on the home front often ceased as well.
We have a few questions for you regarding authority. What is your understanding of biblical authority and God's purpose for it? How is your attitude toward authority? Do you have a submissive spirit? Is there a particular authority area with which you have the most trouble? Spiritual, government, family, employer? Yes or no? If yes, describe the nature of your resistance.